Hello, it's Naira's Notes. Welcome back. And today I'm going to be doing my Love Island opinions of this latest season, as this is the first season that I've watched live in its entirety and kept up with. I hope that doesn't mean that I'm ill informed or have no prior reference, because I think this grants me an unbiased opinion as I'm experiencing this with a clear conscience, and I'm not going to compare them to previous season castmates. And yeah, I'm really eager to talk about this as I've thoroughly enjoyed this season and I liked the cast. And I think a lot of interesting discussions and topics were brought about because of this season. And this is actually like my fifth time recording this because I realized it was getting too lengthy. So I'm going to try to keep it short with each castmate. I'm going to cover what I believe is every castmate. I hope I didn't leave anyone out. So here it goes. First off, starting with Bea, I think she's very cool and I like her honesty. She's very tomboyish, which set her apart from the other girls. And maybe I wonder if that was like kind of a turn off to the guys because as an athlete, I see like she. It's not surprising that she's tomboyish and she probably hangs with a lot of guys, but compared to the other girls, she might seem too dudeish, and so they might just put her in a box as like being a homegirl or like you're like a sister to me instead of like a romantic option. But I did think she spiced things up because some guys do like that, and I also appreciate her honesty, especially like when Corbin came in and the girls were around the pit or whatever, and like Melanie was monopolizing the conversation. She was the only one to say anything, and I actually see where she was coming from. I don't think she was being a bully like other people have suggested. I think she was right because at that point Melanie already had a connection and Kenzie didn't, so I see why she wanted Kenzie to talk to him first. And she's very honest, and you kind of saw that she was kind of starting to have a little something brewing with Melanie, maybe a little cattiness. Maybe they liked the same men and Melanie was succeeding compared to her. Maybe she had personal feelings, or maybe it was just that. So I appreciate her honesty and her speaking up for whatever she felt like. It was very refreshing. And I think she made her mark for as long as she was there. Next is Sean. He didn't have a lot of airtime, but he was very cool, had good vibes. Maybe if he stayed longer or found a stronger connection, I think he would have made it to the end, or at least near the end. And I hope he didn't take it personally that Beatriz didn't want to be with him because he was a father. You know, I'm sure that's not the first time that has happened to him. So he seems like a good sport though. So I don't think he would take it personally. But overall, I think he would have rode the highs and lows of the villa well. And he would have, not engaged too much in drama. So yeah, I appreciate Sean's placement there, and he's a cool guy. Next is Soul. She had so much Betty potential. Like, she was giving Betty boop. She came in banging. Like, that's a bombshell. She was my second favorite bombshell, first being Kata. But aside from Kata, she's the baddest. Like, now that's how you bombshell. She's probably, like I said, I don't know much about previous seasons, but she's probably like top 10 or top 5 bombshells. But as the episodes went on and the new shiny syndrome wore off, I think she was perceived as having this kind of like Eeyore, like Debbie Downer vibe to her that probably made her hard to connect with. Though I understand that she's grieving, so I do sympathize with her and don't hold it against her. But I think that might have made her seem standoffish, and the girls probably already had a bone to pick with her because they felt like their guys were interested in talking to her, to the point where like Anaya literally pulled Casey while he was talking to her, which is crazy, and made Anaya look insecure. But yeah, I feel like the guys and girls treated her badly because the girls felt threatened by her because they felt like she was going to take their man, and the guys felt like they'd be villainized or, you know, put in the doghouse by their girls for entertaining her, even though that's what you're supposed to do. And I feel like especially you saw this dynamic in the pie challenge. Though I understand that the show is heavily edited, I feel like she got most of the pies amongst the girls. And I personally just feel like a lot of those pies should have went to Melanie, especially because Melanie was showing her cheeks in the beginning of the season. And I feel like Soul was just the easy scapegoat and everybody was cool with it because everybody was too cowardly to like be cool with her except for like Kenzie and Jen. And unfortunately, she was victim to favoritism in politics. And, you know, it was pretty sad to see her down by the time she was leaving. But she did get to pop her stuff after she left, which made some people not respect her and maybe feel like she got like a chip on her shoulder. But I guess she has a right to have a bone to pick with how we saw her treated in the episodes. Next, I'm going to say Gabriel. He just seemed very lustful and shallow despite claims of his depth and intelligence, especially by Bea. And I felt like he had a very cold and distant body language, especially towards her. And I don't know, it just seemed like she was anxiously attached to him, judging by their interactions. Like she felt the need to please him or get his attention based on what I saw on camera. And it didn't seem like he was there for love. And no shocker if he wasn't. Like he's a handsome Latino DJ from Miami. Like that doesn't scream settling down, and he's in his 20s. Though one person claimed or mentioned that he's getting older, he seemed to take offense to that, though I understand where they're coming from. So I don't know, like even with Jen, it just felt very surface level, like we're not really getting to know him and that he was just there for a good time, and that's not really what this show is about. So yeah, I don't know. And I often wondered if he would even be like a good partner, a healthy partner. Like he said his like last relationship I think was 5 years, I think. I really wish Bea would have asked him what made the relationship end. I would have maybe gave me a peek into like his character or his lore, because I felt like I just got nothing. But yeah, Gabriel, he's okay. Like I don't really like him, but I don't really dislike him. You know, he's just there. All right, next on to Jen. I found her a little boring or miscellaneous at first, almost like that nothing bagel people claim she was, and maybe even indecent for like noisily porking Gabe in the room where everyone can hear when the couples weren't really doing that yet, or at least that loud. But I began to appreciate her and her honesty over time. I feel like she was a breath of fresh air, especially when she confronted Kenzie about kissing Gaul instead of beating around the bush. Because let's be fair, Kenzie and her were supposedly best friends, and Kenzie went behind her back and kissed Gaul, even though Kenzie already had Dylan and Jen had nobody else, while Kenzie had options, and she still went and kissed Gaul, knowing that Jen liked him. So I'm glad Jen clocked her there and told her that she wouldn't be friends with her in the real world. Because let's be real, most of us wouldn't be friends with a girl like that. But she was telling Kenzie what none of the other Villa girls were telling her. And I thought that was very refreshing. And she was almost like a comedic relief. But her going home made sense to me, as she never had a genuine solid connection in the villa. But I'm definitely interested in seeing her in the follow-ups. Now, next on to Zach. I think Zach is very questionable, and not to be inappropriate, but I question his like romantic orientation or his awareness of such, because at times it seemed as though he liked Bryce more than he liked his own girl. And I know they're very close and passionate friends, but I think Bryce was joking and Zach wasn't in their frisky playing. Like, let's be real. And even aside from that, I wondered if he was jealous of Bryce and Trinity, and it seemed like he would often try to come between them, even though it's a dating show and not a friendship show. And you can have your friendship and your best friend in the villa, but still respect his relationship. Like him laying in Trinity's bed and telling her to go sleep in another bed was foul. That I don't even joke like that. That's disrespectful. Like that's your best friend's girl. You shouldn't even be talking to her like that. Joke or not. And I just think overall he's very cowardly, and he was playing with Kata's feelings. And especially when he would like say things like I love you and then take it back the next day, or even on their first date towards the end of the season, he like mentioned saying the three words, like I'm gonna say the three words, I'm getting to it. Like, what's the point of saying it? Just do it. Don't be all bark no bite. That's cowardly, you know? And I think he was really playing with Kata's self-esteem, especially like when they got to the hideaway. They were selected to be the couple going to the hideaway, and before and after, like immediately after getting intimate for the first time with a girl that you supposedly like, that you know likes you, and you're gonna mention imaginary bombshells. Like, that's wild to me, and that's very disrespectful. Like, why would you cheapen the moment and the experience like that? That's disgusting. And I'll forever hold that against him. Like, it makes me wonder if he's just trying to let Kata down gently over time so she stops having, grand expectations of him. Because, like, even when they found out they were starting to get low ratings as a couple, he immediately Freudian slipped and was like, oh, I wonder if they think it's because I'm not good enough for you. Like, yeah, maybe that's what you're thinking. That's why you're putting her through this. Like, she must be your first baddie, And I just think it's unfair what he's doing to her because Kata clearly likes him. And I didn't like how shady he was when he literally told her to go talk to Caleb, or told Caleb to go talk to her. And then when they did talk, he was being super petty. Like, he didn't want to hug her. He was withholding affection. That's just weird. And borderline emotional mistreatment. I don't know if I could use the ABUSE word on YouTube, but that's not very healthy, is it? Like, you literally told her to go do it, and then you punished her for doing it, and then he didn't make her breakfast, which no other guy did, even when they were mad at the girl. Or, matter of fact, some guys would make breakfast for other girls that weren't even their girl. So why would you not make her breakfast? And I'm actually glad Gaul clocked him in that one time when Gaul was like, what am I going to do, not make her breakfast? Like, I didn't even realize that was probably a dig until someone mentioned it. But, like, yeah, he deserved his lashings for that, because why is he putting Kata through this? And then when Kata wanted to talk after that, he wouldn't talk because he's like, oh, I'm talking with Bryce. You can't just interrupt. But it's like, your relationship is more important than whatever unserious conversation you're having in the kitchen around other people. Like I said, it's a dating show. And I just feel like he's just wearing her down and getting her hopes up. And I don't like how he is planting seeds of doubt in other couples and telling Bryce, like, oh, I don't think Trinity understands your jokes, Like, no, you cannot have Bryce all to yourself. Hello? You both already have your own girls. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. He's just being shady. And I think Kata should take the other girl's reaction to him wanting to be exclusive with a grain of salt, or maybe a teaspoon of salt, because the exclusive thing doesn't really mean anything. The only thing that it could possibly mean at this point is that maybe finally he'll stop bringing up imaginary bombshells. Though I understand where he could be coming from, because they live in different countries and they want to see how, they can merge each other's lives, or how they can interact in the real world before they make it official, instead of making it official on the show and then, breaking up soon after and looking stupid because you didn't know what it was going to be like. So only in this instance I understand the whole exclusive thing. But in the real world, there's no such thing as exclusive. People do say that, but it doesn't really hold weight. It's just like a filler episode for becoming girlfriend. Like, I know Trinity was mad I know Kata was mad when Trinity said, like, so you're in a situationship. But I do see how, like, exclusive can mean something in this context. But I hope he's not just using this to string her along to, like, hold off on her being his girlfriend, because, like, at this point, what other option is there? They have already slept in the same bed for over a month. They've already been dating, and the relationship has already been tested with different people. Though I don't think he would have taken that other girl home, that Casa girl. I don't think he would have kept her. Contrary to what Kata or whoever else might believe. But, hopefully he's not just stringing her along and he'll make her his girlfriend. I mean, they already got intimate and everything. I just hope he stopped acting like what's a British insult I can use? Stop acting like a knobhead, okay? But yeah, let's see how their relationship will unfold in the real world. Good luck to them. But talking about the other half of said relationship is Kata. She was the bombshell. She's the baddest bombshell. That's how you bombshell. But I thought she was going to be more of a man-eater, honestly. But unfortunately, she's been bent out of shape by Zach. He's mushing her up. I mean, I still love her, though. She's my second favorite girl after Trinity. But I feel like she's too forgiving of Zach's behavior. Like, she's too quick to go back to kissing him after he disrespects her. Especially when he was being weird, as she claimed. And when he was refusing to talk to her because he wanted to talk to Bryce. He wanted to talk to Bryce. Like, as disrespect. And it's almost like kind of being controlling because you're punishing them for utilizing their own free will, especially when he encouraged the idea. So it's almost like he's training her. So yeah, I just hope the relationship doesn't end up being toxic or draining, because like it's seeming like she's his first baddie, and you know, I want her to hold her own in the relationship and not be afraid to, have repercussions for him disrespecting her, because I really hate to see it. And I hate that she was blaming herself for them being like in the bottom as a couple several times, and even in the finale. But girl, it's not your fault. It's your dude. And she was getting a bit defensive when Trinity called the relationship a situationship. And the only girl that defended her was Kenzie, which isn't saying much. But yeah, I just hope she takes all the criticism that he's getting from them and the real world and social media. I hope she takes it into consideration, because she's also a little too quick to defend him. Like, I know she's probably in love at this point, but like, don't ever defend someone's bad behavior, with friend or not friend, foe, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, because then that's just sending them the message that you're willing to defend them even though they're the ones screwing you over, so that they'll get away with anything. Like, girl, you're better than this. Free my girl Kata. I hope things do get better for them, and I wish them luck as a couple. Now, on to Bryce. Now, Brycey Poo. I love Brycey Poo, but I think he needs to check Zach more when Zach is overstepping him and Trinity's relationship, as I said. Like, you shouldn't let him come and, like, try to act like he wants to be your girlfriend when your girlfriend's right there, But I do, however, appreciate how great of a guy he is, and dare I say, the best guy in the house. He's very sweet and pure-hearted and was honest. And I truly wish him and Trinity the best, and apparently he's known in LA, and I hope he uses his connections and his resources to like put Trinity on, like Nick and Ola did, or like Nick did Ola, and I hope he gives Trinity a grand tour. And speaking of Nick and Ola, I'm kind of annoyed that people are saying that Bryce and Trinity are trying to recreate it. Like, I think it's more of a coincidence. I never got the vibe that they're intentionally trying to recreate. Like, their relationship seems very natural and slow burn, though I was doubting them in the beginning, but they definitely found out to be the healthiest couple, so I'm happy for them. Now, next is Trinity, my sugar plum bubblegum. I love that girl. She's my favorite in the house. She's hands down the smartest, funniest, and realest girl in that villa, not to mention the flyest. Like, I love her for all that she contributed, and she was the boldest one to verbalize what everyone was thinking but too scared to say. And Tiara gets a side eye from me by talking to the queen crazy, but we're not going to get too much into that. But aside from that, but kind of relevant, I think Trinity should let these girls talk for themselves, especially during movie night and the recoupling, since it was their decisions and behavior that got them into these situations as grown women, and not her. But I'm so happy she won. Her and Bryce more than deserved it. And I think Trinity was actually a loyal, supportive friend. But she always kept it real with the girls and told them when they were being dumb, which was very much needed in this season. I don't know what they put in these girls' cornflakes, but they was missing a few screws. And like I said, I really underestimated her and Bryce, but they so deserve that win. Like, I thought they were trying to gaslight themselves into a relationship and force it in the beginning, because I was like, what a weird pairing. But it works. It's one of those unexpected couples that just work because, like, people say work because they don't, but they work because they do. They actually do have a lot in common. They're both the most mature, even though he's the oldest guy and she's, I think, the youngest girl in the house. They both have maturity in common. They actually described each other as their types in the very beginning, which I thought was like so divine. And they're both very supportive. very kind, very respectful. They're such a great couple. I'm so happy for them. And they really did lay the foundation to a healthy relationship and gave us the full timeline. And I'm so happy we got to see the whole thing progress. Like, if they do stay together long term, this is going to be beautiful to look back on like 5, 10, 15 years from now. And, people talk about their age gap, but it's not always the end of the world for age gap relationships. Like, different strokes for different folks. They're like one of the age gap relationships I think might work. And especially because she was literally working at a hardware store. So it's not like she was in the middle of something and she's being uprooted. Like, she can literally start fresh. She has nothing to lose. And I think now that she's like got so much followers now and so much support, and they were on, I think, Good Morning America, I saw, she can literally like go back to LA with him and become like a model or an influencer or whatever. Like, she has the personality for it. Like, she's a star and he has the connections to support her and guide her because he already knows about LA. So I think that would make them perfect for each other, even outside of the villa. Not that their relationship is only about like money or like image, but like they align. So yeah, I give them their 20s. That's mom and dad right there. Now next is Parmita. Like, Parmita, my little Persian cat. She's a little slow, especially for defending men's poor behavior. Because, girl, that won't shield you from it, okay? Like, it's not the serve you think it is. But I give her her 10s for being the only one, along with Corbin, to keep it real with Melanie during the the heart disc challenge. Like, her and Corbin literally synced operating systems there, and I think they're very compatible, but they definitely need more depth as a couple. Not to say Kenzie's right, but she was low-key right on that. And I'm also glad that she clocks Kenzie whenever she feels like she's being shady, because like I said, I really appreciate honesty. But at this point, I even hope Parmita and Corbin last, because Girly Pop is gonna tell me why she spilled the beans in the van on the way out, telling Corbin about her extensive dating history. Like, girl, this is just gonna make him look at you funny. Like, I know she was probably trying to say, like, I already experienced everything, I don't need to step out on you. But, like, she was like, I've been with rappers, I've been with musicians, I've been with the athletes. Like, girl, don't tell him that. Like, guys are gonna look at you like you've been around, and that's not a good thing to them. So I don't know why she said that. Like, you're a bit older. And, people are also talking about her and Corbin's age gap, but he's smart and she's 27. So I think they're kind of even. Like, his intelligence meets her at her age wisdom. Not calling her old, but she's just more mature. She's like 5 years older than him. So yeah, I think they kind of level each other out. I just want to see more depth from them as a couple instead of lust, because I can tell that Corbin is a brainy guy. Not to glaze. And speaking of Corbin, now on to Corbin. I think Corbin is the smartest guy there, and I low-key think the girls are at least a little tinge mad that they can't get to him. Like, he doesn't really care what they think, and he doesn't ever, like, let them get a rise out of him. And, he says slick things, which I don't like, especially when he was talking about Kenzie and Casa. But I will, this is kind of bare minimum, but I appreciate, not commend, but I appreciate his honesty, and he puts himself first, and I respect that, and I honestly wish the girls did the same thing. And aside from the disrespect, the mere fact of him recoupling, I don't think Kenzie has a right to be upset about that, because she literally did the same thing. Like I said, I just don't appreciate the Casa comments. But I'm glad he set his eyes on Parmita when he went to Casa and just locked in on that. That shows focus. And he did say something about, like, him having a lover boy inside of him, but you gotta, like, coax it out of him. But yeah, I don't think him and, if it wasn't for Parmita still, I still don't think him and Kenzie would have lasted because I can tell he's smart and Kenzie's not. And I think he made a comment about that. I don't remember when, but like either during or after Casa, he made a comment about that. So I think their intelligence gap would have been a problem pretty soon, and the fact that their relationship was extremely salacious. Now, speaking of Kenzie, I think Kenzie is extremely thirsty and slow. I don't know, slower than Parmita, I don't know. But I never really liked her because she seemed very unintelligent and entitled, especially when it came to validation. And I don't like her notion of feeling that she's entitled to more male attention just because she's a blonde. Like, that's literally white supremacist ideology, and she's not even a natural blonde. Like, her entire family has dark brown hair, and it's really weird. And I really dislike how she treated Zach for weeks just because he didn't want her after he literally placed boundaries so that she wouldn't get her hopes up to make it clear that he didn't want her. Like, he didn't do anything wrong for rejecting her, and she's extremely immature, and whenever she got valid criticism, she would like deflect, deny, and play victim as if she's incapable of malicious action, which people did say she took accountability and apologized. Like, yes, but I don't know, some things about her I just didn't like how she literally egged on for wanting a cowboy. Like, I want a cowboy, but then when Caleb came in, she dubbed him for Corbin. Mind you, Caleb actually saw relationship potential in her. Corbin just wanted a crush. He just wanted to smash. And how she didn't see that, despite all the girls seeing that, is beyond me. Like, just further proof that she's foolish and thirsty. And, you know, she wanted to go back to Caleb, but had a problem with Corbin getting close to Melanie because I feel like she just wanted all the attention to herself, and that's disgusting. And she still kissed Gaul, even though she knew that that was her best friend Jen's only connection in the villa at that point, and she already had a man. It just makes her look so desperate. And I had a feeling she wanted to slay two birds with one stone at the letter challenge, because not only did she think Caleb was going to write to her, but she thought Melanie was going to write to Corbin. So I wonder if she wanted that aha moment to feel like she got the guy. But I don't know, like, that type of stuff just doesn't do it for me. Well, the letter stuff is just like my hypothesis, but overall, like, it's just off. And, you know, honestly, when Kenzie says she's never had a roster, I can tell she's telling the truth, because it seems like she's not used to this kind of attention. She's literally like a kid in a candy store with these dudes. And all the girls are like, oh, good for her. But, like, you can, like, focus on yourself and your desires without a bunch of other people being collateral. Because quite a few people had a problem with her in there. She hurt quite a few people's feelings, male and female. So I don't like the extremism of people thinking like, oh, it's either you're male centered and male obsessed, or like you completely don't care what men think, because neither ideologies are healthy. And I think Kenzie's unrealistic for thinking that Dylan can blindly trust her after all I've mentioned and more. And her argument to Dylan about her being with so many guys because he didn't come yet. Oh, you weren't in here yet. If you were in here from day one, I would have picked you. Like, that's straight baloney. That's bull honky, because I feel like even if he was in the original lineup, she would have done him the same thing. She would have slimed him, because that just seems like her personality. Because with all the dudes she was with, she seemed like she genuinely liked them as much as she liked Dylan. And she still did that, so there's no telling. Like, I just feel like overall she's not taking the show seriously, or as serious as other contestants. And even if the show is fake and contrived, you're not supposed to make it obvious. I just think she lacks restraint and loyalty regardless of the show's environment. And like, yes, you can explore, as I said, but you're not supposed to be selfish and do your exploring at the expense of other people to this degree. Like, when you explore, you're guaranteed gonna make people upset. But she literally hurt like at least 3 people's feelings, and that's low-key bopping. And she is lustful. And when Corbin, as a messenger, informed her that the others, like the guys, thought she was quote-unquote lustful, she got super defensive, even though her and Corbin literally only talked about salacious things on camera. And she dubbed Caleb, the only guy speaking humbly and wholesomely to her, intending to have an actual relationship with her. And then she turned around and used the specific word lustful towards Corbin and Parmita during one of the last challenges. And I'm glad Parmita clocked her pettiness. And, you know, she denied it, but during After Sun, she used that word again to show how truly pressed she is. Like, this word is coded, like Corbin spread the lustful virus to her vocabulary. Like Corbin wasn't even the one that called her that. He was just the messenger. But I won't lie, I do admire how quick Kenzie moves on from disrespect, or what she perceives as disrespect. But I think she takes it too far, to the point where she feels like no one can tell her anything, because I think she lacks self-awareness and might actually be slow beyond the blonde cosplay. As I said, like, our entire family is brunettes. But yeah, I just think, I'm not even gonna rag on her splits, because they were low-key like comedic gold, especially when she had her arm up. It cracks me up every time. But overall, she's one of my least favorite girls. Like, she just has really childish and poor character, and it's really difficult to respect her. All right, moving on. Dylan was low-key a red flag to me when he like started crying to Kenzie and slouched over with like such defeated body language. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. Like, I'm not saying men can't have feelings, but one, he barely knows Kenzie, so that level of attachment I think was inappropriate for him to be crying. Like, either you need therapy or you're like cooking up something, right? And two, I think men typically try to impress women with their strength and competence. Not that every guy's like some machismo, but like men typically try to impress women with their competence. So I find it concerning that he felt so comfortable feigning weakness in front of Kenzie. I think either he did that because he's genuinely a coward, wants to guilt trip Kenzie into staying loyal to him, as I've seen some people say, or he is trying to appear weak as a predatory move so Kenzie won't see any form of manipulation coming. Because there are definitely like manipulators and stuff. And what a lot of manipulators try to do, not saying he's a manipulator, but like I've seen this movie before where like someone pretends to be like really pathetic. Like, it typically when I see people like try to be really pathetic and like just seem disheveled and just out of control, like usually they're doing it to lower your guard, so when they start manipulating you, you won't see it coming. So they're gonna try to tell you sob stories and get you to feel sorry for them, but that's not what you're supposed to do when you're dating. When you're dating, you're supposed to be showing, like, the first thing you're supposed to show people is like your best qualities. Like, and the actual people that, are kind of weak or whatever, they try to play up their strength because they don't want to be seen as weak, because nobody wants to be seen as weak, because that'll just make people take advantage of you. So for him to be that openly weak this early in their connection, like they didn't even develop that foundation of trust yet, for him to do that is just weird to me. And I don't know, I think he did it, as I said, so that Kenzie won't see any form of manipulation coming. And unfortunately, in my opinion, I think it's the latter, simply because to me, Dylan in general just seems very inauthentic and performative to me. Like, something's off with him. Like, I don't trust him. It's just off. And Kenzie's very foolish for defending him on that front when she barely knows him. And the general public is just trying to warn her on what we see, since we're not the ones in the eye of the storm of emotion and attachment like she is. So we're getting a clear view. So we're trying to warn these girls, And that aside, I don't think Dylan was wrong for not trusting Kenzie despite their conversations. Like, her trying to, quiet his doubts or reassure him. Because honestly, who would trust her? Like I said, she literally ran through over 5 guys in the villa in a matter of like 6 weeks, and did not seem to handle the connections maturely and seriously. Like, she seems addicted to attention and validation, and that's not the type of person that would be the most loyal, which is likely his concern, as he's very clearly into her, or so he acts. And I think he might have mentioned getting slimed in the past, or like getting cheated on. Like, he's probably been heartbroken before and would not want for it to happen again, especially because you could see how much he likes her, and or as much as he appears to like her. And especially now, if he can clearly see the signs and he's bringing it up, I think it would hurt him more if she were to slime him out because he saw it coming. And he's talking to the other guys about this, so I think it's really bothering him. And I still wouldn't be able to trust her no matter what she says. Like she said, she's saying, oh, like, even if you came from the beginning, I would have chose you. But you don't know that, because like I said, she seemed to be into every guy she was with as equally as much, like super enthusiastic. But I think that's just her personality. She just likes the attention, even if it means like taking attention from other girls, or like CO, like chicken blocking other girls, you know? Anyways, moving on. Carl. I think Carl is a great guy for Anaya. Like, they match. They're both very classy and alike. But sometimes I do wonder if his attraction is strong for her, though, or even at the end. I don't know if I believe him sometimes. But I won't let those doubts, absorb and cloud my judgment of him. I still hope for them the best. Their pairing reminds me of Tiana and Naveen, and I'm pretty sure production played into that with their fairy tale date. Like, talk about clip farming, right? But Carl just seems like a great guy, and I actually voted for him back. So I was so serious about him coming back. Like, but I feel like Anaya had to pick Casey, because if she didn't, she probably would have wondered what would have happened. Maybe even though he picked somebody else, she probably would have still tried to see what was up with that. So sometimes people gotta go down the wrong road and meet a dead end to like come back and be like, okay, I won't go there again. Like, I think she needed that to happen, and that was definitely a learning moment, and I would like to think that she wouldn't make such a mistake again. Now, speaking of Anaya, onto Anaya. I think I liked her way more in the beginning, but by Casa, I found her a bit whiny and annoying. Especially like how she tends to talk in circles with no resolve. Like, I feel like when she would talk to Casey, it would just be talking in circles about the same thing, and like she would still be mad even though they talked about it. So maybe she was just insecure in the connection, and she, felt that something was off, and she was trying to like rationalize it, but it just wasn't making sense, which I understand, but it got annoying to watch. And even before Casa, and I actually think she's similar to Casey in the way where she doesn't act bold until someone is there to back her up. Like, she was clapping a lot of gums at the recoupling in the movie night, but I think it was very cringe and pathetic. Like I understand her hurt and betrayal with Casey. However, I'm glad she got Carl back. Like I said, I voted for him to come back. I'm okay, matchmaker over here, because they're a better match, and so is Casey and Titi. I'm glad she went with Carl instead, because, I don't know if I would have seen her and Casey lasting long term, even though in the beginning we were all convinced, honey. And I also think Anaya's more into her friendship with Sincere than he is, and she probably has feelings for him, maybe, or had feelings for him, which makes her, I think, would cause her to enable Melanie, along with the fact that she's friends with both of them, so she doesn't want beef and she feels stuck in the middle. But I think at times she was enabling Melanie to stay so she could keep both of her friends on the island and maybe live vicariously through Mel. And I'm glad her mom clocked her on that, because she needed to hear that. Like, girl, stop telling this girl what she want to hear, because you're making her suffer. But still, at the end of the day, Anaya is very sweet, classy, and genuine. So I do wish her the best. And Casey wasn't crying over her. But, you live and you learn. Experience is the best teacher. I'm just happy she got Carl back. That was like the redemption arc of the century. Okay, moving on. I think Casey... before I even move on to Casey, I also think Anaya kind of milked the Casey thing. I don't think it was that deep. Like, I think it was deep because she felt betrayed, but I don't think it was that deep. Like, they were acting like... Well, honestly, he was clapping his gums after Casa, during and after Casa, so that's probably why she felt upset. But I don't think Casey was worth all that energy, honestly. Like, these girls gotta learn how to conserve their energy when it comes to these dudes. But anywho, like I said, going on to Casey, I think he gets all, if not most, of his bravado from Corbin. Like, I feel like he looks up to Corbin and is trying to be like him in a way. And I get that he probably felt like he could relate to Corbin, as them two were the only black dudes in the house. And he felt like, he understood him more. But it seemed like he almost like needed Corbin's validation more than he should, like as a grown man. Like I feel like Casey was acting like a high schooler, funny enough, even though Corbin was like, oh, the Villa girls are like high school, Casa girls like college. I feel like Casey acts like a high schooler. I feel like he's too cowardly and unsure of himself to stand alone. I think he should have communicated how he really felt with Anaya. Maybe that would have cleared some of her second guessing, because like he would tell her one thing and then act in another, or tell somebody else like another, and like she could feel that he wanted to explore Soul, and he should have, like they should have. I wonder what would have happened if they kept Soul, because she would have not only had Casey's attention but Sincere's and maybe another guy's attention, because now let's not lie, she was bad to the bone. But you know, I think he should have communicated better, because now, because he was avoiding, his avoidance was seen as a betrayal by on Anaya's end. But like I said, I do think his hate is a little dragged out and extra, and it was only that intense because like Anaya's whiny, so people take pity on her and want to run to her rescue. I still, however, don't think he was good enough for Anaya, and I think TT's more his speed, and it was kind of pathetic that TT had to stand up for him, and he never even tried to stop the girls from going back and forth. He just let it happen. Like, I'm not cool with that. Like, I know he probably like felt like he was sick and TT on the girls, because if he tried to say anything, they probably just bark even more at him. But you could at least be a man and be like, oh, y'all don't gotta do this, you know what I'm saying? Like, he could have been like, you guys don't have to fight, like stop yelling. He could have said something. But like I said, I understand he was probably annoyed and they blew up on him, so he didn't feel the need to defend them. But that's still kind of childish, that logic. But yeah, I can't read his mind. But additionally, he was stuck on nobody picking him, which, like, nobody but being behind his door. But like, I don't see how that's relevant, because if I remember correctly, nobody was behind his door because they asked people what pets they would pick, and of course people are gonna pick dog and cat, and this fool picked plant. Like, okay, plant man, like, and he's still stuck on that. Like, he's bringing it up weeks later. Like, maybe he has some sort of like abandonment trauma, or like, you know, a past with people not picking him. But let that go. You can't let people now suffer or hold that against people who weren't there for that. Like, these people don't know nothing about that. Like, plant man won't let it go. And like him saying stuff like he's returning to the villa with more aura, that's literally delusional, because literally no one cares like that. They just care that you hurt that girl Anaya, and the guys, I think, messed like the Anaya too, like they messed with her. So it was kind of like seeing their sister get hurt, maybe, if they cared that much. But I just think that was corny. And then he was trying to be petty during the dessert challenges with Megan Thee Stallion, but that just made him look even more pathetic, because he was trying to get his get backs, especially with throwing cakes. But he would give like corny speeches and would miss entirely. Like, it was just lame and pathetic overall. Like, it's crazy how like he actually had aura in the beginning. Like, he was one of the finest dudes. I remember they were glazing him all over Twitter. Yes, Twitter, not X. But by the end, it's like his aura points were in the negative. It was just a pathetic run. Like, he just lost aura more and more every time he opened his mouth. Some people are better off not speaking. Still I rise, I guess. Now, next onto his lover, TT. Tiara, aka I'm TT, who are you? Now, maybe she has an ulterior motive, but to me, she definitely doesn't seem like a stable girl. And I think it seems like she leads her interactions with lust. TT called Casey disagreeing with her as arguing. She said something like, oh, I can't believe we're arguing. Like, are we arguing? Mind you, they weren't even arguing. It's given like you don't want him to like disobey you, which seems very controlling and toxic. It just makes people question her character, especially because she said she doesn't really have friends. It makes people wonder, like, maybe she really is just a shy girl. But I feel like that's harder to believe than her just being a little kooky, a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, a little cuckoo for Casey Puffs. Anyways, moving on. Now, Amora, kind of ironic. Casa Amora. I was clean. But yeah, I think Amora was very beautiful and poised in the beginning. Like, very beautiful, very cute face. But I'm really irritated by the fact that she actually thought Sincere was going to choose her twice, especially after watching the show. And him saying, oh, you definitely would have been the one. Like, girl, bye. Like, I'm disgusted by the fact that she would even still be attracted to Sincere after how he did the other girls. And I don't like that she tried to throw Jen under the bus when she was talking with Gall. And kind of funny, she ended up going home that night. So all that was for naught and just made her look bad. And her saying sly comments like, oh, she doesn't want to get involved with Sincere Melanie's situation. Yes, she was trying to, though. She was cuddled up with Sincere talking about I really like you. And then he delay responding and can't even look her in the eyes when saying I like you too. Like, girl, why would you take a liar seriously? And you saw him treat another girl bad. Or two other girls bad, including Soul. Like, why would you even still take a guy like that seriously? Like, you're supposed to just have your fun with people like those. And, you know, when the fox can't get the grape, he said it's sour. She couldn't get him. He called her big dog. So all of a sudden now she don't want him. And she don't want their situation. Or she wouldn't find herself ending up in that situation. But I feel like if Sincere let her in, she would have ended up in that situation. Maybe not to the extent of crying and yelling like Melanie did, but she would have took the bait. Moving on. Now, Caleb and Jaden, I paired them together because that's the only way they really hold weight in the cast. No shade. I think they're just very mellow and didn't really do much of the dramatics. But I think Caleb was too sweet and too pure for this environment. I think he was too peaceful, which doesn't necessarily make for entertaining TV, unfortunately. But I think he was a breath of fresh air amongst the boys and low-key really funny. I'm glad he found a pairing in Jen after Kenzie did him so dirty. However, I don't think Jaden liked him that much, as she alluded to him being too nice. And I don't like how she immediately started yelling at him when she overheard him discussing their connection. I feel like maybe she had felt guilt. She was feeling guilt for not liking him as much as he liked her, and just wanted an excuse to lash out and express frustration. And if not, I think she needs better emotional management, which is kind of rich considering the rest of the cast. They were tweaking together like Big Hit Rula. But yeah, her interaction with Caleb after that was literally the first and last time we saw Caleb yell. Like, it's crazy. The first time he yelled was with Jaden. The first time he like raised his volume above like a decibel of 5. Like, he was a cool dude. I don't think he deserved her yelling at him. It really made me like feel bad. Like, I almost felt pain because I don't think he deserved that. But I'm glad they quickly talked through it. But I still don't. I still wonder if she likes him that much. Like, I find it hard to believe. And she seems to have a bit of an attitude. Like, I feel like she would walk all over him. Like, Caleb is a really sweet guy. But I think he needs more boundaries and needs to defend himself a little bit more because he submits too quick. Like, she was the one that started yelling at him, but he ended up apologizing first. That's not a good thing. Like, that's not a good momentum to have, you know? But yeah, I also think Jaden was very boring and forgettable, and she added nothing to the show. She was just there for Caleb. But I do hope Caleb finds a genuine girl that can appreciate him, because he seems like a respectful, calm, responsible, humble, hardworking, genuine, and handsome guy. Not meaning to glaze, but like, I see Caleb's value. Like, he seems like a great guy, and he's actually like low-key funny. Like, as I said before, like, he said some funny things even in After Sun. Yeah, I wish Caleb the best. He's great. Now, you know, I had to save the most dramatic for last, child. Melanie. She is the talk of this season. Child, I think she has a lot of growing up to do and self-esteem to find. She might call herself a lover girl or things of the like, but I think that generally when people say that, that just means dummy. That just means I'm obsessed with the idea of romance and I'm willing to sacrifice dignity and respect for it. And I didn't like her attitude in the beginning, especially towards the girls, because now in the end we see how truly, no offense, how weak and insecure she really is. And she was almost like trying to get buck with Bea when Bea was clocking her for talking to Corbin, like I mentioned earlier. Like, girl, you know you're not fiery like that. And you got all this lip for the girls, but not enough for that man that be lying to you. But you know, she said how guys in her past leave her, so she probably got issues. But girl, if that's the case, go to therapy. Spend some time alone and be single. Because you continuing to date on a broken leg like this, on an emotional broken leg, is just making you more vulnerable to pain. Think of it like that. Like, if you had a broken leg, would you continue to walk on it, or would you wear your cast and lay down? So she needs to wear her emotional cast and sit down somewhere, because we saw how this season unfolded. Like, it was just not good for her and draining for her. And I think it would have been way smarter for her to keep Corey as a Casa boy to make Sincere earn his way back, because even if she kept Corey, Sincere would have stayed. He would have stayed, but he probably would have been vulnerable. And that way, if she kept Corey, like, Sincere would have to earn his way back to her and prove himself to her finally, while she enjoys the mental break and the better treatment from Corey. That would have forced Sincere to tighten up if he didn't want to get sent home, because that would have been the only other option, because it was moving towards the end. There were no other bombshells. So she could have went back and forth between Corey and Sincere, because they weren't even exclusive or anything, you know? It's all up in the air. And it didn't really make sense for Melanie to pick Sincere just to stay mad and keep yelling at him. Like, she immediately started yelling at him out the gate. So like, as soon as he came back to disarray and discord, not even like peace. Not that he deserves it, because he was slimy, but she was not letting up. Like, she didn't give him a break. But I think she was convinced that yelling him was gonna like instill fear in him. But you're not his mom. Like, who's gonna tell her yelling at men don't work? Like, maybe guys who are addicted to attention, who are used to only getting attention from their mom by her yelling and them irritating their mom. Because the only way to like get a guy to take you seriously, or well, not the only way, but the main way I've seen work, is you walking away, or like withholding your energy, withholding the yelling, withholding the, you know, whatever you gotta say. Because you yelling at them is still like giving them attention and feeding their ego, because now they're thinking like they're important enough, or they have so much emotional control over you to where, you know, you feel the need to yell at them and lose your cool. Like, especially these young guys on Love Island, like, they're in their early 20s. Like, they're probably loving the attention if they don't find it annoying. And if they especially keep doing the same things that make you yell at them, like, girl, he's clearly not listening to you. Especially if you leave to keep coming back. He probably thinks she's dumb and lost respect for her. And when people think you're dumb and lose respect for you, they'll just treat you bad. You know? She's been crying since the bed challenge. But in my honest opinion, it's kind of hard for me to feel sorry for her, because I don't know if people don't remember, but she was doing Sincere so dirty up to the bed challenge. She literally embarrassed him. But then she will cuss him out just to be right up under him that same night. Mind you, he should have listened to Corbin and Bryce and slept outside. Why is she sleeping outside? He's the one in the wrong. Why does he get to enjoy the air conditioning and the comfortable bed while you're sleeping outside with the mosquitoes and the owls? Like, girl, he's the one that's supposed to be in the doghouse. Like, she's just doing everything backwards, you know? And it don't make sense to yell at him to be up in his bed the same night. You're not teaching him nothing. And then she keeps saying she likes him, but what is there to like about a guy that's treating you poorly in front of everybody? Not only all your friends, but in front of the entire world, like in front of TV, in front of the internet. And like I said, she gets her lashings from me from being catty with not only Beatriz, but Keita and Sol. whenever she thought they were a threat to her and Sincere's relationships. Like, especially when him and Soul had a thing, and then she was talking to Sincere, and then she was yelling about some, I got my man back, to, like, I guess dig at Soul. But that was so lame. Like, that's loser behavior, because you got your man back, but at what cost? Like, she needs to learn that respect is more important than attraction, because just because you quote unquote like someone does not guarantee that they will treat you well. Like, she'd even be better off with Corbin. Like, SMH my head. And I hate that she was downplaying Sincere's actions and behaving as though her mom would be cool with it. Like, girl, you are not helping your case. You look dumb. Because what mother wouldn't be enraged by some loser mistreating her daughter? Huh? And then she looked extra dumb with the side of fries when her mom and her sister came and gave her the exact opposite reaction, showing their extreme distaste for Sincere and his shenanigans. But more so her sister, because her mom was on her zen until it was time to drop tokens of wisdom like Oogway from Kung Fu Panda. But yeah, Melanie, she got a lot of learning to do about guys, and if guys keep treating you bad, like every guy, it's probably you. And judging by her behavior, it's probably her. The fact that she doesn't respect herself, she's emotionally unstable, she's desperate for male validation, she nana boo-boos other girls with men. Like, that's so corny and insecure. Like, she's just very insecure. She need to tighten up, you know. Like, if you wouldn't tolerate this behavior from your friends, don't tolerate it from your guy, especially on national television. But you know what? Maybe Corey dodged a bullet, because maybe she picked Corey, she would have still wondered about Sincere and longed for Sincere. And that's given, like, trauma bond. That's not love. That kind of unhealthy attachment and codependence, that's not love. Like, literally on one of the last episodes, after her parents left, after her mom and her sister left, and she was talking to Sincere, she always like, oh, don't do that again. And then he does it again, and then all she does is yell at him. And then she's like, oh, you need to be serious this time, or whatever. And I'm thinking she's gonna, like, mic drop and get up and walk off. And she's just sitting there. And he's just looking at her like, okay. Because he knows you're not going anywhere, mija. You're not going anywhere. So why do all this chatting? And then during, the live stream where the girls saw what the boys were doing in Casa, she's talking about some, oh, watch you so you can know what to do later. Like, she was given, like, oh, she's gonna get it together and, turn over a new leaf. But she never did. She does all this talking just to not do nothing, because she still took him back. He told another girl that she would have been the one. He told Amora she could have been the one. Like, what does that even mean? He literally kissed Soul, and as Soul was walking out, Melanie walked in and he acted like nothing happened. And they all saw it. And then she got up. I look like a freaking idiot, dude. Like, you low-key do. Because why are you like, if you're gonna take him back, then don't yell. Just sit there and take it, girl. That would probably scare him more. Trust me. When you stop talking and you're not reacting, they're starting to wonder, like, oh, is she talking to another guy? Is she planning to leave me? But you yelling, he knows your heart is with him, because you're yelling because you care. But that also tells him that you're not going anywhere. Some poetry. Anyways, Melanie need to stop listening to Anaya, because Anaya in the same boat with her, and listen to Trinity, because Trinity was the one telling her don't be dumb. Like, and I think Trinity just, like, gave up towards the end and was like, just like, yeah, girl, whatever, I wish y'all the best. But then again, they see more than we do as viewers, so yeah. And I honestly don't want her and Sincere to stay together, and I think them getting such high votes, not to be offensive, but I'm not gonna lie, like, I grew up around Hispanics, and they're very loyal, like Hispanics / Latinos, they're very loyal to their own people. So them being the only Latino couple, I think Latinos are just voting for them because they're Latino. Because the only person I've known in real life that supported them as a couple is a Latina. So like it's low-key probably like ethnicity or like racial bias. They just want to support their own, which is fine. I get it. Cause like black people were supporting Casey and Anaya, but you're literally enabling their dysfunctional relationship, and he's literally mistreating her. But then again, it comes to a point where everybody's like, oh, Sincere is so evil, he's mistreating her, but she won't leave. He's done everything he possibly could for her to leave. Like, Bryce couldn't even stomach being in Casa. Meanwhile, Sincere is laid up with another girl, making out with another girl willingly multiple times. And I know they want to explore, but he had the audacity to tell her she might be the one. Sincere did everything to get this girl to leave. And sometimes that's how guys will move when they want you to leave them, but they don't want to look like a bad guy. And that's probably not the case, because he probably wanted to make it to the end. But girl, you should have been gone. You should have been picked Corey and sent him packing his bags all the way back to whichever state he came from. I don't remember, like Massachusetts, I don't remember. Like, at this point, people need to stop coddling grown women. If her relationship is so bad and she's crying this much, talking about she looked like an idiot, then why are you staying? But then again, I'm not going to judge, because, you know, especially abusive relationships or toxic relationships, it's not that easy to leave, because it's like inconsistent reward is the basis of addiction. It's kind of like gambling. You never know when you're going to win. So in toxic relationships, you never know when it's going to be good. When it's really good, when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's really bad. So that's enough to make people addicted to that next good, that next high. So like, I'm not judging her, but I need her to wake up sooner than later, because you're too young and this fly to be crying over somebody that's treating you bad. And her mom said a word, like I said on her Uguay Zen. She said a word when she said, you're giving him another chance when someone's waiting for their first chance. Someone's waiting for their first. And this dude is slipping up. Girl, she don't know her worth. She needs to learn sooner or later, so guys can stop treating her like crap. Because I low-key see why. Probably because you don't respect yourself. They don't respect you. And when people don't respect you, they treat you bad. No matter where you are or what the situation is. But anyways, enough about Melanie. The princess of the season. Or the most talked about girl this season. Anyways, I digress. Next, Sincere. Last, sort of least, because that is not my client. Okay? I think Sincere is like a people pleaser and a liar and doesn't know when to stop talking. And I think fans are giving him way too much credit by calling him evil. Like, he's not even that good of a liar or manipulator. Like, the girls are just insecure and gullible. To be fair, they're young and they're still learning. But they're just insecure and gullible. None of them are taking a leaf out of Trinity's book, and she got the game on lock. She had the summer of a lifetime. Not one tear shed because her man was mistreating her. They should be focused on her. But anyways, like I said, the girls are just insecure and gullible, and they give him this power. And like, since Melanie's the one's making him this special, like, yes, he's handsome and maybe a sweet talker, and you know, I was with him in the beginning, but I don't know, I lost all respect for him. And like I said earlier, he might just be getting his lick back from all the disrespect and embarrassment and the shege Melanie was showing him in the beginning of the season leading up to the bed challenge. I don't know, maybe. Just maybe he's getting his lick back. But funny enough, she never believed him in the beginning when he was actually telling the truth leading up to the bed challenge. Like, and now that all he does is lie, not even good at it, by the way, she believes him. And I think he pulled the wife and kids card on the dog, talking about some, oh, I want you to be my wife, the mother of my children. Because he probably only said that because he heard Melanie say that she was ready to settle down and have kids and quote unquote pop out babies. And so he just tells her what she wants to hear to hold her off, so he still has time to do whatever he wants and figure it out, not even to act right. Because he keeps saying he gonna act right, but I don't know why nobody's telling him that the main problem is that he's lying. Like, why is nobody saying that? That's the main problem. He keeps saying unnecessary things. Like, nobody's telling him to say these things, and he keeps saying it, knowing that he's being televised, that it's being recorded. Like, he knew that she was gonna see it in movie night, and he was still lying. Like, it's just so dumb to me. And first of all, Melanie need to take multiple seats talking about ready to pop out babies. Like, Miss Ma'am, you're the manager of a bikini store. Pop out babies and give them what? What does she possibly have to offer children? And she's not in the mental state. Like, I don't know if production fed those lines to her, or she was like, it seems like she's a bit on chronically online, because she also talked about the prize, and that was just like a ding 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 to me, because like, this is like chronically online verbiage, talking about XYZ is the prize. Like, nobody talks like that in real life. So like, I wonder if she's just like sucking up this trad wife stuff online, because she's clearly not mentally stable enough to be in a serious relationship, or at least one with Sincere, because that's toxic. She's not ready to have no type of kids, because she can't even get her way in relationships. She can't even have a stable relationship, or at least with Sincere, because I don't know how she's with other guys. But she just generally seems insecure and mentally unstable. So now is not the time, mama. I don't even know why she brought that up. And she's kind of young to be talking about marriage. Like, y'all are all still figuring it out. Dudes this young, most of them are just having their fun and not taking it seriously, as we can tell by Sincere. So yeah, I feel like he just told her that, and even like to hold her off, and even she was looking at him crazy, like, huh? Like, record scratch, freeze frame. Like, what do you mean wife and kids? Like, y'all are not even boyfriend and girlfriend yet. I don't know. It was just so weird for him to say that. Like, he literally cannot stop lying, and it's so annoying because he's not even good at it. And I'm not even convinced by that scolding his dad gave him. Like, his dad didn't really seem to care too much, or his brother. I think they just did it to look good and, you know, save face. So his dad looks like he's a good figure or whatever. But his family does seem pretty cool. But yeah, people saying Sincere went to like University of Miami. He was like a top rated athlete. Girl, of course he a player. And Corey was, mind you, Corey said he's out of that lifestyle now. If he actually is, that's a different story, because anybody could say anything. Words don't hold weight. But like, girl, Sincere just won't stop lying. It's just so pathetic to me. Especially because, like I said, nobody's telling him to say these things. Like, he doesn't have to keep doing this. That's the main reason he keeps getting caught up with Melanie. But maybe this is a game to him, because he keeps doing exactly what she asked him not to. But then again, nobody's being specific enough to tell him that that's what he's doing wrong. They're just like, oh, stop treating her bad. But that's pretty vague. That could mean anything. Like, tell him stop lying and saying unnecessary things. But maybe they did, and it wasn't televised. So yeah. That was a mouthful. All in all, the cast is still very young and have a lot of room to grow. I would love to see a follow-up of Beyond the Villa and a reunion with the entire cast, including Bea, Sean, Soul, and others. I think that would make for a very interesting reunion. I'll be sure to get my popcorn like Dylan. But yeah, I don't know how long this is. This feels like 2 hours, but if you've made it to the end, thank you for watching. I'm so happy to get this off my chest now that the season's done and I know how it ended. I'm curious as to how these people are gonna fare out with these brand deals now and their reputations. I can say off rip, I think the people with the best lined up for them out of this villa is, of course, Bryce, but Trinity, because, you know, she has star qualities. She's very memorable and entertaining and likable. Kata, girl, Kata's modeling career is about to be booming. She could say bye-bye to that restaurant job she got. Soul, you know, it's been very quiet for Soul, but I kind of think, like, with the reunion, she can get that momentum again. I think Soul has a lot of potential to be a great model. And apparently Michael B. Jordan was in her DMs or in her likes. So, yeah, she might already be being put on. But, yeah, I have hopes for them. I think a lot of the guys had not a lot of guys. A couple of guys got a bad rep coming out of here. I know Kenzie was on a Call Her Daddy um podcast. I don't know if she'll get on other podcasts. I know she did her little splits. Maybe she could try to market that. I don't know. Maybe like a Fabletics collab where she tests the strength of the fabric by repeatedly doing splits. Who knows? But yeah, I think those people have a lot of potential. The guys are pretty boring. It was their girls making them interesting. But I think Zach is good looking and his brother is already popular. And apparently that Costa girl dated his brother too, which is like, But then again, a lot of these people on the show apparently I found out got connections or were on like Tubi. Like Trinity and Bryce both were on Tubi. Like, what in the invisible string theory is this? But yeah. Yeah, I wish them all luck. And the guys are pretty boring without the girls. So I don't know if they'll get many deals. But the girls, they got this. I think Melanie will get deals because a lot of people sided with her, even though at a certain point she was putting herself through it. But she'll have to learn through experience and hopefully fix her image and recover from the bird allegations. Tweet. TT, who knows? Maybe she'll continue to be a little video vixen as she was before because, you know, her stance when she came in, she looked like she was ready to fight. I don't know. Maybe Anaya and Carl will get deals. I know Carl will. He's very likable, one of the more likable guys, so I think he'll get deals. But yeah, these are my opinions for the Love Island peoples. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. Feel free to share your notes and opinions in the comments. And now I'm gonna have to finish season 7 because the tea look piping over there. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.